Hey friends, it's Renee Bradshaw. I am coming off of a pretty crazy weekend. I decided to do a sale for 11/11 and I had a 50 tarot readings come through over the weekend. So that was very exciting. Of course, now you can imagine I'm working like crazy to catch up. My husband is out of town and my girls were both sick yesterday. So today is Tuesday and I'm getting to a lot of them. I got a really great night of sleep last night and I woke up feeling just really connected. Everything went great this morning, got the girls up to school, and then came home and was just boom, everything. I mean, it's just one of those days, everything is working magically. Here it is again. The moon card has kind of been popping up a lot for me lately, not necessarily in the readings, but at different moments when I'm looking for a sign that I'm done searching for extra information or anything like that. And it's popped up a few times today to give me a few different symbols and meaning, and it's pretty interesting. So this is an 8-card past life reading. I'm really excited to do this. This is for a Twin Peaks fan, which is kind of neat. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the cards, fast forward while I do that, so you don't have to watch me do that for 5 minutes and listen to me do my little chanting and stuff. So I'm gonna go forward. Oh. We'll try that again. So I was trying to decide if I was gonna face them towards you or face them towards me. I don't think it really matters in the past life readings. A lot of times, I mean, it's a story, it's intuition that's coming over. It's not necessarily the traditional meanings. So when I flip over a card, I kind of get the general feel, pick up what's going on, use the pendulum if I need to for extra information. But I was trying to think of when I flipped them over if I would have them so they were facing you or facing me for the camera. But then I realized the whole spread was done towards me anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I kind of had this, you said you like Twin Peaks, and I see that you're a Pisces, so I've had like, I don't know. It's something about the Pisces, even though it's like the symbol of the fish, or the sign stands for the fish or whatever. But you have those 2 lines there for Pisces and a cross through. So I thought we would see something maybe with a twin here in the beginning, and we didn't. In fact, we see like pretty much the opposite. A lot of the cards have multiple people in it, and this just has the one. Sure, it's got the cat, but there's a cat in almost every single card, so I don't think that's it. So I think, so this card here, the Ace of Pentacles, is all about the start of a journey, which is really cool when we get something like an ace or the Fool here in the very beginning for the early years, because it always just tells me, oh, here we are, the start of the journey. This witch, here we go, this lifetime, you were born into probably a prosperous family. You had pretty much the whole world as your oyster. You had wealth and abundance. I don't know yet if I would say you were extremely wealthy or just wealthy where you didn't have to worry or think about anything. So maybe like upper middle class, what we would think of today. But and that's kind of the sense I'm getting, because we do have like the smaller house in the background, but I'm getting that just everything was, when you were born, just everything came really easily. You were an only child, so it's the opposite of the twin feeling that I was having. So I kind of wonder, I feel like since I'm getting such a strong pull to that whole the Pisces symbol, something about being a twin, I feel like you were probably born as a twin, losing your twin early on, and this is what gave you pretty much all the wealth and all the love and attention and affection, and probably education, we'll see, will be pretty good too. But I feel like this is what what brought a lot of that here was just because the parents were expecting multiple children. They prepared for multiple children, and then they had just the one that ended up surviving. Maybe the other one passed on at a younger age or was a stillborn. I'm not sure. I feel like that's information that'll come up as we're going. Okay, then we are gonna flip over the education card. Which again, I'm picking up on standing on one leg, having one eye open, one cupcake being on the ground. We have a lot of ones going on in this situation, and I feel like that right there is telling me we have the balance of this card overall, and then everything is giving me a one symbol, one book, one glass of water, one martini. So I really do feel like there was someone else. There was someone you were born with and you lost them. Now, because of that, I feel like you were given the opportunities of education and pretty much the best education that was available at the time. And you were able to balance that with the rest of your life pretty well because you were the sole child that your parents were caring for or your other caregivers were caring for. I want to see what I've written down. I always have a hard time remembering which each of the major arcanas, so it's the Sagittarius, and I see the Sagittarius symbol is the arrow, and I feel like that means you were on target, you were on the center of this education. Not only that, but you're balanced here in the card. So I feel like whatever was going on here at home, even though you were offered anything you wanted, and I feel like you had a good education, I also feel like you weren't really interested in going very far with that. It was more of a rounded, spiritual, typical educational, home skills, like all these things combined. You had a little bit of everything, but I feel like you were probably a master of none, even though you had a little bit of everything. It was hard for you to make a decision and to move into a certain direction, and I feel that was because of the loss of your sibling. You always had a little bit of heartache in the back of you and wondering, is this something they would have chosen to do, or is this something I would have chosen to do? And instead of making that decision, you just decided to stick down the middle of that road. Now the third card is occupation during that time. And we have the Star card, which always reminds me of the movie The Star when I see this. I think it was called The Star with Claire Danes, right? She is a star. She falls from the heavens during that movie. I don't remember what it was called, though, apparently. But this is what this card reminds me of. Again, we have that symbol of balance and being alone and being in the center of the card. All three of these have had the black cat and the person in the middle with the balance. Now, what I've just noticed here is the cat is licking itself in both of these first two cards. And it's got a little bit of water, a little bit of food here, and we've got the cat kind of eyeballing this fish here, food and water. So I feel like whatever your well, first of all, traditionally the Star card for careers and occupations is someone artistic, like an actress, a writer, an artist. And I'm kind of getting that here with the colors and the balance, or not the balance, sorry. With the colors, but with the way they look like watercolor to me, I guess, or chalk coloring. The way they go up and the way they go down. I'll come back to the cat in a minute, because that idea is like, there's like something there and it's percolating in the back of my head, but I kind of want to see a few more cards before I really start to hammer out what's going on here in my mind with this cat. So I'm seeing here, I really feel like you were drawing from the different parts of your education, different parts of your life and interest, and I feel like you were an artist. Now, I don't feel like, I'm not getting like that heavy oh, what's the word? I don't want to say professionalism. That's not right. But I do feel like you're probably a local artist. You did well enough to do okay. The money that came in actually wasn't that important to you because you came in through this household, through a wealthier family. So I feel like the fact that you were just doing kind of okay, and it was you were balancing your life and your occupation and everything. I feel like that was okay with you. You didn't strive to go super far in life. This was more like a hobby that brought in some money, and maybe if it made you feel like you were doing something, something worthwhile for your family, or just for yourself, something to occupy you. Just the standing alone in each of these cards, I really feel like you felt alone during all this time. And it's not a surprise. I mean, the feeling of the twin being lost is overwhelming to me. And something about this cat is almost making me think of the sibling you lost was always with you. Something you were always feeding and taking care of. And I mean, maybe it was some of her soul, but I feel like it was some guilt or sadness of being alone that was keeping her in your thoughts all the time. So I feel like that influenced everything you did. It influenced your education, where you were afraid to make big choices because you didn't know if it was something she would have done or if it was the path you were supposed to take. And then here, it's just, if I do it, I do it. If I don't, I don't, kind of feeling like I will draw from the universe however much I need to work on, and then I'll stop for the day. But I really get, not only from the traditional meaning of the creative type, but also from the coloring here, I get artist. The next card is going to be your social status, which I need to... I don't know why I always do that, because it's like I flip them over, I put them down, I'm like, I want them lined up perfectly in the camera. I think it's because I'm used to taking pictures and stuff instead of doing readings on video as often, so I'm like, let me get it nice in the picture. Now I'm seeing here, let me see. So, excuse me. So, it's cold. It's killing my throat still. So, I see here, whenever I see this card, I think of disagreements. I think of someone being selfish. Someone being overly ambitious and taking everything. So, I feel like in this reading, according to what we've read so far, with you being offered the world and kind of just relaxing peacefully through it, I see this as kind of the opposite of the ambition. I feel like you were often in a standstill. You were watching other people get all the rewards, watching them probably work extremely hard to get those rewards, but watching them carry on anyways. And it didn't really bother you. There were times where you had some jealousy, perhaps. I see some of this smoke coming out of here, and I feel reminded of a little bit of this coming from the hands here. And so I think maybe, at times you would see other artists get recognized or get, great deals, maybe paint the Sistine Chapel or something. And you were looking at that like, hey, I'm just as good of an artist as they are. How come I didn't get that? And then you would get kind of mopey. But I think a lot of that was just the ambition. Again, with losing someone so young, you just weren't interested in going too far in life. I just see that with your friends, you were more of the gal that was around, you were happy to be in the background. You were happy to be in the spotlight if that's where they placed you, but it didn't really matter to you too much, except for the few times that it did. And I could see that driving a wedge between you and your friends. Now, what's interesting is this is the social status. It's the first card we've seen other people in. So I feel like very much you were content to be alone all the time. And when you were forced to be out, not forced, but well, maybe forced, but mostly when it was time for you to be out and about in a crowd of people, you didn't always know how to react or care about reacting. I think you were happy to be a hermit type person and just do what made you happy, because you knew that your parents were well off. They could give you anything you needed. And also, I believe because of the loss of your sibling at such a young age, they probably overcompensated by providing you with everything you needed, not forcing too much on you, not expecting too much out of you, kind of just letting you drift to center line. So when you were in a social situation, you were just seen as the girl that was there. Then we have relationships, and we have another, so this is our third major arcana card. And so since we have the three major arcana cards so far, I don't know if there'll be more over here, but I feel like that means this was a highly influential lifetime on you, and it probably is affecting you in this lifetime. If you can be in a crowd of people, I feel like, and just be completely alone, if you're content with just being by yourself, doing what makes you happy, and kind of getting that really even balance of like spiritual life, work life, fun life, without finding one of, relationships, friends, without finding one of these things that send you over the top, one of these things that you just love. Like, if you can't say, I love reading more than anything else in the whole wide world. If I could, I'd just sit around and read all day, or just be with my friend so-and-so all the time. I feel like those are probably some of the lessons, or not lessons, but influence that are still left on you. It's just that happiness in being alone, and kind of being alone in a crowd of people, feeling alone when you're forced to go along with the crowd. Now, what's interesting, again, we have relationships, and we're back to one card. And not only is it just one card, not one card, but one person in the card. Not only that, but it is the card number 1, the Magician. And this card is a lot about personal power and having the strength inside of you. Knowing that you can do things on your own. You have all the tools at your disposal. It's up to you what to do with them. So I think that's really interesting when it comes to relationships. I feel like in that lifetime, you were never able to form a relationship again, just because of the way your heart was probably a little broken. Well, not a little, a lot broken from losing your twin. And then you have, your solitude. I should leave this card in here, so you can see it. Your solitude. Do you watch I don't know why it reminds me of Rumpelstiltskin from that show on ABC. I can't think of the name of it, but this cough. So I forget where I was going with this. Isn't that funny? I feel like this, combined with these cards of solitude, peace with you at the center, that created something within you by the time you were older, that you really did have everything inside of you that you needed. You probably didn't really feel like it was necessary to create a strong friendship, or not friendship, but relationship of any sort in this lifetime. So I'm looking, there's a few different colored cats within the deck, and I'm going to come to that in a little bit. And we're just going to see what's left in these last few cards here. And we'll get back to that, the little cat that's following each of these cards around. But I just think this means you are just alone and happy, which is good to be alone if you're happy. So now, how you brought about your death. Well, with the Four of Pentacles, a lot of times this is about guarding your money, your belongings. But I feel like here in this reading, we're definitely getting a theme of loneliness and seclusion and happiness at being alone. And here I feel like in the chest of, it's not money, not like we would typically see. It's your emotions, it's your feelings, it's your connections, it's your beliefs. You kept those apart from everybody else. This was your life. You didn't want to share it with anyone. You were going to share it with your twin, who I possibly am starting to feel like was maybe a soul sibling, and you were excited to spend this life together, and then they were taken from you. So with this card, I just feel like this, your death, you just kept yourself so closed off from the rest of the world that I'm sure you died alone, with the spirit of your sibling near you, feeling content to be alone, but scared at the same time, because it is human nature to share ourselves with other people. I'm curious if I draw a card, if I can get a little piece of your death here. So I feel like you were alone, obviously, and then we have this card to tell us a little bit more about your death. So I think it was a violent death. I don't usually think of this card as a violent card. I really like this card, but reading it in this story and with the symbols, I see the swords, I see the hooded figures. I feel like you were alone. No one was with you. Alone, alone, alone. Can I say it again? Sorry. So no one was with you to protect you when probably thieves came in the middle of the night. You were by yourself. Hey, I didn't say alone that time. You were by yourself, so they figured you were protecting more than just money, and they came for it. And when they didn't find all the riches they thought they would find, although maybe they did because you were born into a family that had the riches, either way, I feel like you were violently killed at the end of their visit per se to your house, their burglary. So a lesson learned during that lifetime. So a lesson you learned during this lifetime was to charge forward. It wasn't something that you accomplished, but it was something that afterwards, when your soul was reflecting on what happened in this life, was that you saw you were extremely alone. You could be surrounded by tons of people, birds, animals, whatnot, and you would still feel like your soul was missing something. It's because it was missing the soul sibling that you thought you were going to spend this lifetime with. And because of this, you guarded yourself. You never let anyone in, and you did not enjoy the latter part of your life. It was all, it was mostly you were happy, content to just balance, teeter along, fight against the crowd, find contentment within yourself. But here at the end, when the others were gone, it was just you guarding yourself. And so I think because of that, you learned when you were done with that lifetime, that it was the next lifetime you needed to charge in. If you wanted to do something, you needed to take it. Now, whether or not this is something you're able to currently do in your own life, I'm not sure based on this reading if it is, but this is a lesson that your soul wanted you to learn and carry on into your next lifetimes. And I feel like that's maybe something that, if you have not done before, is awakening inside of you. Over the past few months, I feel like something is kind of changing inside you, shifting. You're looking for something and you don't know what. And I think that you need to... And I think that the thing that you're looking for is out there. It's close by. through mindful meditation and thinking, I think you'd be able to find it. But it's definitely, there's a connection that you're missing in this lifetime. I don't know if it's a guarding against friendship, relationships, or maybe even keeping yourself from pushing forward at work, pushing forward in your hobbies. But there is something that you're guarding yourself from, and what you need to do is push forward. Forget about your worries, forget about feeling alone or following the crowd or not following the crowd, but that you'll find what you need if you look at what you love in your life and you push forward with that. Charge in without too much thought to what you charge in without too much thought about what you might do to embarrass yourself, or or worry about making mistakes. Don't worry about making mistakes. The only way we can get better at anything is by making mistakes. And I don't think so here in the reading, I feel like she's holding him up, like, we need to push forward. Don't just be content with a little bit, but charge until you get everything you want. And then here, how this life affects your current one. We have definitely feeling reversed with this card. Again, it's the 7 of Cups, and we've got this cat cleaning itself again. So how many cards is Kitty Cat cleaning herself in? Just the 1, 2, 3. She's just hanging out there. So here, I feel like in this lifetime, you're definitely searching for something, searching for someone. Again, with that feeling alone in a crowd. I think you're too hard on yourself in this lifetime. You think sometimes if you don't have all the answers, you shouldn't take the first step. Sometimes you just do need to charge in and know that you'll learn the answers as you go along. Now, there are some things I feel like that you are passionate about, some hobbies that you want to dive into more, or a career path that you want to push further into. But in your head, you have all these illusions. You have all these ideas of how things should be. And I think that's the problem. You live in, when it comes to this particular thing that you want to do, there's like a fantasy blocking you. There's 100% or nothing, which I think I said before, blocking you. And because of that, you can't just push forward and grab it and go with it. And I see that coming in from here. You had, all the opportunities in the world. You lost something greatly important to you, and then you relied on yourself, and you weren't pushed to go far. You were just pushed to be, go even, go balanced, go right down the middle. So because of that, I think you're just having a hard time here, right now in this lifetime, choosing what you want and going for it. There are times, if you are an artist, like you were in this lifetime, work on it, keep working on it. Maybe sell some paintings here or there, or put them up in public places somehow. Don't worry about not being perfect at it yet. Just push forward. Sometimes I like to do a little bit at the end and see if we can determine how many lifetimes ago this was, and why. Yep. Okay. So we had the card Shootout. Usually the sooner the lifetime, the more this weighs on you. So the 8 of Wands here, I'd say it was 8 lifetimes ago. Lifetimes can be, a minute long. It can be 100 years long. It just depends on how long. So, but our souls, we have hundreds of lifetimes. And even in my tradition, we live, all throughout the galaxy. We're not even just limited to Earth. So 8 lifetimes, and that infinite of a, soul's progression is very recent. So I could see this weighing on you pretty hard. Now this card traditionally is about once something starts, it gets out of control and you can't slow it down. However, again, I'm drawn to all these wands in the air and the hand up. I'm pulled back to this symbol right here, and there's lots of birds here. It's just picking something and pushing forward with it. I feel like, so here you were good at everything but a master of none, and I feel like that's kind of pushing into this lifetime. You have a lot of things that you're decent at, but you need to, your soul really wants you to pick something to excel at. And once you excel, you can excel at something else, but grab something, what gives you the most passion, and push forward with that. I hope you enjoy this reading. A little Pisces fish I wanted to have out for it. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. Again, this was Witchy Renee Bradshaw, an 8-card past life spread. And if you are interested in getting your very own past life reading done, you can go to my shop, which is on Etsy. Just go to Etsy and search for witchyreneebradshaw.com. No, don't search for the .com. I guess that's already implied. So Witchy Renee Bradshaw. Okay, I hope you guys have a really, really blessed afternoon, week, the rest of your 2017, and I will see you guys later. Hey guys, so I completely forgot about what I was going to talk about with the cat. I think of the cat as having 9 lives, so I really feel like this was a connection that you had over and over again with a soul sibling. See, in my tradition, I believe there's lots of different kinds of soulmates, soul connections. I believe my children that I have this lifetime are my soul children, just because whenever they're near me, I feel this giant ball of warmth and light that kind of pulls us together. Unless they're arguing about cleaning their room. But so there's lots of different kinds of soulmates, I feel like. And I feel like you had your soul sibling that you were going to spend this lifetime with. You guys were going to concentrate on falling in love and learning external lessons, but you were going to learn some lessons together, and you couldn't do that. And because of that, I feel like you always had that in the back of your mind. And I feel like maybe some of this, I was getting this feeling as I was reading that this cat, a lot of the cards do have cats on them, but let me see here. Not all of them do, and not all of them are the, whoops, where's the camera? Not all of them are the traditional black cat that we were seeing in a lot of your readings. So I feel like that was a, because here's another. So all the cats in your reading were the black cat, and I feel like that was this the soul sibling following you around. I feel like they actually probably did come back and they were with you on Earth, but not in a human form again. I feel like either they came back as your familiar, or it was just like a spirit guide that you could feel with you. But when this happened, I feel like that's probably where, so when I was doing the reading, that's where I was getting some of the complacency and wanting to be alone, was because you wanted to be with this spirit all the time, or this familiar all the time, and other people didn't understand that. And so I think, so I was going to look here, I have my cheat sheet. Worse, I'm horrible with birthdays and stuff, but I wanted to see, you had nope. So I was looking to see if there was another card on there that it's it's my list of zodiac Zodiac connections with the major arcana. So I was just looking to see if there was another one on there that stood out as far as the cat went, but it did not. But I really feel like that was what the cat was symbolizing over and over and over again. And I realized that right when I went to do another reading, and the strength card shot out of the deck, and I looked and I saw the lion on the card, and I was like, oh, that's a big kitty. Oh yeah, the kitty thing I was going to talk about. But yeah, so I hope you forgive me for forgetting for a minute. Okay, bye.